Hello, and welcome back to Helluva Podcast. I'm Alex.
I'm Audie. The O is silent.
And today we are talking about Aussies again. Do you want to say what we... So we just recorded an intro and found out the mic was muted.
Yeah, so we, said the intro, I was like, the O is silent, and that time the O was literally silent.
Yeah.
Because we were silent, because the mic wasn't recording, and I wish we had that blooper.
Also, he was very intense about it. He was like, the O is still silent, bitch.
Yeah.
And that really was.
Yeah, we were being so loud. I'm gonna turn the gain down a little bit. Hashtag microphone settings. Anyway.
You don't want... They don't want us yelling in their ear? What do you mean?
They might really be into it. That's my concern. That was a weird thing to say about our audience.
No, that's like in Truth Seekers.
That's exactly, yeah, it wasn't meant to be a reference to that, and then it seemed like a really blatant reference to that.
Okay, anyway,
yeah, we're gonna dive right in, because we're hoping to get through the rest of Aussies today.
Hopefully, or at least enough of it so that we can match it with Queen Bee and be done with season 1 by the end of the year.
Yeah, we're hoping... this episode, we're recording quite more in advance than we usually do, but this should be coming out on December 17th, and then we're hoping that we'll finish season 1 of Helluva Boss and also Helluva Podcast on December 31st.
Yeah.
So right at the end of 2023.
Yes.
And then we'll probably take a little bit of a break again, and then go back to regular uploads in 2024, starting with The Circus.
Yes.
Which is so exciting.
Season 2 is going to be crazy.
Season 2 is going to be crazy. It is so crazy. We should really get right in, because we have so many notes to get through. But it's crazy to me that when we wrote these notes for this episode, we've had to edit them so much, because we didn't know any of the shit we know now.
No.
Like, the things we thought were going to be our main talking points, we now know so much more about, and it's like, damn, we did not know shit.
Yeah. It's crazy, especially with the Fizz stuff.
Yeah, and it makes me wonder what shit we still don't know that's potentially right in front of our faces.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're gonna get started right away, because we got 4.5 pages of notes to go through.
We're gonna go fucking speedrun this.
All right.
Okay, so the note we have is Blitz seeing Fizz, which is so loaded.
Yeah. His initial reaction to seeing Fizz on stage at Aussies is just, oh no, not him, and hiding behind his menu.
Yeah.
Which makes it all makes so much sense now. But when we first watched this, it was like, what is their history? What is going on? And now it all makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it does make a lot of sense.
But it's still so loaded and oh.
Yeah, and also the way he says, oh no, not him, is so gut-wrenching.
Yeah.
It has been since I knew, in the beginning. I think it was more gut-wrenching. When I didn't know all the stuff, because I thought it was worse than it is.
Yeah.
But I don't know, the delivery.
Yeah. Yeah. There are a lot of instances throughout the show where Brandon Rogers pulls through with the voice acting.
He puts in his whole
Brandusy
Rogersy into that.
Yeah. But yeah, and also on that note, Blitz somehow didn't know that Fizz worked at Aussies.
Yeah.
Even though it's probably a very public thing. They probably advertise it a lot, especially with the newest episode with Mammon wanting to exploit the fuck out of Fizz and use him to promote shit everywhere, and it's probably very widely known that Fizz works at Aussies. So
and also I think I don't know if it's in an episode or if it's just in a trailer, but I think that there's we see newspaper articles about it. Is what I'm trying to say. And so it's definitely at least remotely public and advertised.
Yeah, that's in Oops. At the start of it, when Fizz is, he's looking through the newspaper or maybe that's the musical. It's one of the two.
Yeah.
One of the two news
I think
episodes.
it is Oops.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, there's also this recurring idea of Fizz and Ozzy being the worst kept secret in all of hell.
Yeah.
Which implies that everyone knows that they're a thing. So you would think Blitz would expect him to be there, but I guess either he was just so caught up in stalking Eminem for whatever fucking reason, or maybe he knew, but I don't know. It's just, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
And if he doesn't know, it really shows that he isn't stalking or trying to keep up with Fizz's life. Once he learned that Fizz wanted nothing to do with him, he was all right, fine.
Yeah.
Which is it's interesting for sure.
This is not this episode. You know, in Oops, when Fizz and Blitz, like, collide on the sidewalk, that's not the same sidewalk that the Mammon, when they're walking from the Mammon show at the start of the musical episode. Is that the same fucking place?
I think it is. I think it is.
That's not really what we're talking about here, but... Because they're both in Greed, right?
Yep. That's a realization for sure.
Oh my god,
that's because crazy. The pageant ground is right there. That's where Fizz was going.
That's where he... Oh my god, that's crazy.
That's crazy.
So the first time they run into each other or not run into each other, but, like, one of the first times they really have a conversation in 15 years.
The first time they physically run into each other.
They physically run into each other, yeah. First time other than Ozzy's that they see each other in 15 years. And, like, the day that rekindles their friendship, it's that sidewalk where they were leaving the Mammon show, which really was probably such, like, a pivotal moment in their relationship as kids.
Yeah, it was, and also, because, like, I think it showed, and, like, their career paths and, like, their lives in general, because I think it showed Blitz that he didn't want to do that, and it put Fizz on the trajectory to, like, keep doing what he's doing and be exploited, and put him in the situation with Mammon that he's in now.
You know, I wonder when Blitz stopped wanting to have his own circus. Because, like, when, like, he meets Stolas for the first time as kids, he's like, I'm gonna have my own circus with a big office! But then... when he's teens with Fizz, it's hard to tell. He definitely doesn't want to be involved with Mammon at all. But is he still, like, circusing
I don't know.
At that
I
point?
think he didn't want to not be involved with Mammon until he saw the show.
Yeah, true.
So that's something.
Yeah.
I think he's less intense about it. I think, like, obviously he thinks he's not good at it. But I don't know if he, like, didn't want to do it flat out, but I think he definitely... Like, he definitely falls more into the, like, protector, bodyguard kind of role as opposed to the performer.
Yeah.
Like, that was their dynamic, Fizz and Blitz's dynamic. And that also makes me wonder, like, when did he have to kill people?
Yeah.
Like, was it related to Fizz at all?
I want to know, because that would mean he'd... Like, they're about, like, 15, 16 in that Mammon thing, and that's, like, pretty soon before the fire, which would be, like, the last time they talk. What? Alex just slapped his hand over his mouth. What?
When you're good at something, you need to capitalize on it. Was he talking about the fire?
Wait.
Because the fire did kill people.
Oh, I don't know.
I don't think so, but, imagine, like, that's his deep-rooted secret.
That'd be so funny. No, I was gonna say, that would mean, if it was because of Fizz, that would mean he would have had to be killing people since, by the time he was, like, 16, and from what we saw of him at that age, it doesn't seem like that's what was going on.
Yeah.
Especially with, like, the creepy guy they see.
That's true.
Blitz doesn't do anything.
I could also see, like, Blitz definitely after the fire, if not abandoned because of the fact that there was the fire and he didn't have a place to stay, is disowned, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Was it a means of survival?
Oh, most definitely.
Yeah. Not what this episode is about, but quite a engaging discussion.
That really puts the when you're good at something you should probably capitalize line into perspective.
Yeah.
Because, like, it starts out as a means to survival, and then it becomes a means of, like, success.
Yeah. And survival.
And survival. Yeah. Anyway, we should... Okay. Despite being so, like, scared of seeing Fizz, he willingly interrupts Fizz and Ozzy's song to stand up for Moxie.
Yeah, which is so telling.
So telling. He cares about Moxie so much, needs to protect him so much, which relates to him being a protector of Fizz, which is so... yeah. And then, like, the idea that he wants to talk to Fizz, even though he's, like, so scared to see him, might even play into, like, maybe subconsciously he knew that Fizz was gonna be at Ozzy's, but again, like, subconsciously, he was like, well, maybe I kind of want to see him, even though he really didn't want to see him.
Yeah. Which, it definitely makes the line of, oh no, not him, weird.
Yeah.
But, I don't know. It is interesting. And I think also when he decides to stand up, is it, like, spite? Is it, like, desperation for him to, like, see him and be like, I am a good person?
Yeah.
Like, what is it?
Yeah. And then, but as soon as Blitz, like, announces his presence, Fizz is like, oh shit, it's this bitch. Let's call him the fuck out. And then it's just, like, everyone laying into him as much as possible. Yeah. Which, sorry, I feel like I'm taking all the bullet points. Feel free to
you're good.
To address things. But, like, every time Fizz comes anywhere near him, he jumps and, like, reacts fearfully. Versus when Veronica starts shitting on him, he's like, oh, great, you're here too.
He's like, fuck, alright.
Fuck. Which, by the way, Veronica's verse slays so fucking hard. It's, like, my favorite verse in the whole song. Yeah. It's only, like, 3 lines.
I think also, like, the whole him jumping at him, I originally read as, like, trauma response, which, like, definitely not from Fizz, I don't think.
Yeah.
But definitely is probably still prevalent.
Yes.
But, I think also Blitz feels so, like, bad about what he's done, that he probably has the mindset of, like, Fizz is gonna hurt me for that, and it would be right.
Yeah, that he deserves it.
Yeah, and so, like, he just 100% thinks that's what's gonna happen, which is,
yeah.
He's so mentally ill.
Yeah. And then we have the line from Fizz that's, last I checked, your love life was a pile of shit, which we know, like, 99% sure that Oops, when we learn about the fire, Blitz was gonna confess his feelings to Fizz romantically. We see the letter with, like, the little rose, or the flower on it, and the little heart on it. We are, like, 99% sure that's what that was. I feel. And so, like, that would mean that they didn't have a romantic relationship at all.
Yeah.
Definitely a homoerotic one, but, like...
For sure. And, like, maybe friends with Benz, but...
Yeah, but nothing, like, explicit or exclusive. And so... And also, if they haven't seen each other in 15 years, how would Fizz even know? Like, what does the line mean?
I don't know. I mean, I think definitely could be talking about the stuff with Veronica. And also, I guess, the stuff with Stolas, but I don't know that he knew about that at that point, Fizz.
Yeah.
Because that's before he notices Stolas at his table.
Yeah. Veronica makes a lot of sense, because that would have been a public relationship.
Yeah, but last I checked, that could make sense too, but why would he make such a bold statement if he doesn't know? Because Veronica was so long ago.
We don't know that.
We don't know that, actually, you're right. I'm assuming well, we know for a fact that Veronica was pre-Luna.
Yes, we know that.
And so at least, 4 years? 5 years?
Luna's 22,
she's
17. Yeah, 5 years, at least.
Yeah.
Bare minimum. So...
I'm just saying it's a bold statement to make when you don't know about his love life for the last 5 years.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, to clarify, we know it's pre-Luna, because Luna had no fucking idea that he dated Veronica. Nor did Millie or Moxie.
Yeah.
But, like... Maybe they were just caught up in their own shit, you know?
Yeah, that's true.
It's possible that he didn't... I mean, I feel it's very likely that him dating Veronica was before IMP as a whole.
Yeah, and also I think that could also put it into perspective, like, just how long ago everything, like, meeting Moxie was and everything, too.
Yeah.
We need to update our timeline after this episode.
Yeah. Yeah.
You already said that Veronica's verse bangs. Blitz not reciprocating for Veronica.
But when it was my turn, he did no reciprocating. Selfish input. Anyway, yeah. Why not reciprocating? We've discussed the possibility, because Blitz is canon pansexual, but that's
semi-canon.
Right. That comes with the caveat that it was made canon in an Instagram post that was, like, on quote-unquote Blitz's Instagram, which is run by a crew member of the show.
Yeah.
But doesn't necessarily reflect, like, the intended canon of the show.
Yeah.
Especially, like, it hasn't been explicitly stated in the show. And also, it's Blitz's Instagram, so, like, I mean, if he dated Veronica in the first place, then that would, like, imply that he believes he's attracted to women.
Yeah.
But then maybe that's not the case. Or, you know, alternate possibilities are that he's just was not in the right frame of mind in that relationship, or that he, I don't know. I feel like it's definitely more than, like, the pure selfishness that Veronica makes it out to be, because there's always more, but I don't really know what it could be.
I think also, this is jumping a lot, but later we see the picture of him and Veronica in his phone, and Blitz, like, does not look like himself.
He's smiling so, like, douchebaggily.
Yeah, like, he looks like a shithead.
Yeah.
And I think that if he did have an era after everything that happened, where he was like, oh, I'm, like, the shit, and, like, I need to, I guess, like, compensate and stuff.
Yeah.
Then maybe that was part of it. Like, him being like, I don't need to, like, treat you well. I
really want to know when and how he met Veronica. Because, like, it was pre-IMP, most likely. I feel like that's pretty much certain. It was pre-IMP, considering that none of them knew. And so he wouldn't have been famous from that. And also, IMP is something he's only recently started to be, like, well known for.
Yeah.
So, how, if not, like, some sort of fame, how would he have run into her? Possibly a drinking, substance abuse related thing, because she was also
for sure.
in rehab.
Yeah. I think for sure that. I think also just a connection through the circus, because showbiz of all kinds is so, and, like, the circus is all so connected in this universe. So I could definitely see that.
Did we discuss the possibility that they met at a party in Gluttony? Because when Blitz was at the party that Luna, like, he came to get Luna from the party in Queen Bee, the people, like, recognized him. Like, he'd been to those parties before, and it would make sense if Veronica had too.
Yeah, that would make sense too.
That would make a lot of sense. So yeah, it's very likely it was some sort of toxic relationship in that respect, especially if Blitz wasn't sober. It would explain why if he was, like, shittier like that, could also play into that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So yeah, it's something to think about. And then also, like, how does Barbie wire factor into that?
Yeah, crazy.
I wonder, because in what's it called? Spring Broken. in Spring Broken, when Veronica's like, rehab is, like, for washed up losers, so your sister says hi. Is that purely a dig at Blitz to piss him off, or does she not like Barbie wire? Because then that's a whole other layer.
That is a whole other layer.
Like, what happened there? And it's so interesting.
Yeah, it is so interesting. What
was their little trio?
Yeah.
Like, plus Fizz, maybe? What was going on?
Yeah. We need more. We need every single detail.
Tell me more, tell me more. Tell me more, tell me more. Do you stroke on my cock? But anyway.
Anyway.
Speedrun.
Yeah. This is not really related, and so that's bad for the speedrun. But, also, I can't stop thinking about the fact of when Blitz visited the rehab, they were like, it's the deadbeat. Like, that's so much.
Yeah. Have we talked about that yet?
No.
Because that's not till Unhappy Campers.
Yeah.
So we'll get into that.
Then, but, like, I don't know, that I think just adds to, like, the layer of him and Barbie Wire's relationship. It's like, how can he be the deadbeat?
Yeah.
He's her brother. He's not a parent, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. Okay. So, moving on.
Yes.
Do you want to talk about this? I know you really like the framing at this part.
Yes. Okay, so, during the song, Fizz picks Blitz up and, like, puts him in the seat across from Stolas. And then, like, at that point, visions of Via and Stella, like, go on either side of him. Mm-hmm. And it's, I don't even know what my words originally were for this, but, like,
it's just so cool.
It's so cool.
It's cool-ass imagery.
Yeah.
Yeah. What is the next bullet point referring to specifically? Like,
I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, the visions of Octavia and Stella are, because it really is interesting, because, like, Stolas has very different relationships with both of them.
Yeah.
Like, he loves and cares about Octavia. She's, like, his whole world.
Yeah.
Honestly, like, if she weren't there, I don't think that bird would still be alive.
Yeah,
it's just... I very often think about the line in You Will Be Okay, where he's like, all of my stories have been told except for one.
Yeah.
Meaning, like, he views her as, like, his sole reason for living, basically.
Yeah.
Which is sweet, but also terrifyingly unhealthy.
Yeah.
Thank God he has his happy pills.
Yeah, Jesus.
But then versus Stella, who he does not like or care for, and she doesn't like or care for him. She's actively trying to have him murdered / steal all of his money.
Also, the way that Ozzy made them both have, like, the same expressions and movements.
Yeah.
Even though they are so different.
Yeah. Which we've talked about a bit, and we'll probably talk about more, the idea that Stella actively tries to turn Octavia against Stolas.
Yeah.
So it would make sense that he's afraid of that happening, of her viewing him in the same way that Stella does.
Yeah.
So it's just... woof.
Crazy.
Yeah.
You can take this one. I know it makes you crazy.
Yeah, and then Blitz covering his face to Fizz. What is that referencing?
With the menu. Oh no, not him. And then.
Oh yes. Yeah, earlier the oh no, not him. Blitz like hides his face behind the menu, and then now at this part, Stolas covers his face behind the menu to hide from Blitz because he's like embarrassed, and that hits hard.
It does, especially because it's like Blitz hiding his face from Fizz, but then Stolas hiding his face from Blitz.
Yeah.
So it's like Blitz is not embarrassed to be with Stolas. He's just, like, embarrassed of himself. And of people finding out about him. Whereas Stolas, like, is, like, yes, he's embarrassed about himself and stuff, but it goes to Blitz to say, like, he's embarrassed of me.
Yeah. Also, this isn't written in, I'm not sure if we put this anywhere, where, when, like, they start, like, fucking with, Blitz and Stolas, like, stands up in his chair is like a direct parallel to, like, a few minutes before when Fizz and Ozzy were messing with Moxie, and then Millie stands up out of her chair. It is exactly the same, and it's so...
makes me crazy. I think that's later with the Millie and Moxie.
Okay.
Or it might have been earlier.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if we addressed it or not. I just wanted to point it out.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah. But back to where we were, after the song, Stolas tries to reach across the table to Blitz, and Blitz just, like, pulls his hand away, and
it's fucking...
It's so... Because, like, you can't blame him.
No.
You can't blame either of them.
Their dynamic is so well written.
It's so good. Yeah.
It makes me fucking crazy.
Absolutely crazy. Alright, Fizz and Ozzy time. This is the first time we see Ozzy.
Yeah.
In the show. Character design slays. All of the Deadly Sins are I like the designs for all of them.
They're really good. The animation for Ozzy too.
We've only seen Ozzy, Mammon, Bee, Queen Bee. Have we seen any others? Because we haven't seen Pride or Wrath or Envy. We haven't seen anything from Envy.
Yeah,
we haven't seen the ring. Nothing. What am I forgetting? Oh, Sloth.
Sloth.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, those are the only Deadly Sins we've seen.
Yeah, which is interesting.
It is interesting.
I'm sure the rest will come in time.
Yeah.
But I like the ones that exist already. Yeah. That's what I meant.
Fizz, at one point says, like, keep that guy far away from me, when the guy's like, I own 4 of them or whatever about the sex bots.
Yeah.
And it's, like, after the most recent episode, that fucking hurts. Like, in this episode, like, before all of the new content, it was like, alright, that's, like, it's a little funny, it's a little weird, like... I thought it was a little funny and a little sad. But, like...
And now we know that he has actively been exploited sexually.
Yeah.
And in every other way imaginable by Mammon since he was, like, 16.
Yeah, which is...
Or since he was, like, 20, I guess. Because that was 5 years after.
Yes. I was gonna say, 16, that would be crazy.
That'd be crazy.
Yeah.
No. I guess it would have been closer to, like, 2021.
But still, that's very young.
Yeah.
And, like, he most likely hadn't had many, if any, sexual experience at that point.
Yeah.
Especially where, like, I don't imagine that he dated around much when he was young, and then he didn't date Blitz.
And I also, not to be a little morbid, but I don't know, I can't imagine, like, in the months and years after the fire, when his entire body was destroyed, he was getting it on.
No, but even, like, dating. I'm saying, like, as a whole, I don't think he was doing any of that.
Oh, yeah.
So, having this be, like, one of his first sexual and, in general, like, more mature experiences, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Is so harmful.
Yeah.
And also, does that mean that Ozzy is his first serious relationship?
Probably. Definitely his first healthy one.
Yeah.
If he was in one before, I don't think it was healthy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, he's been working with Memon for 10 years now.
Yeah.
So that's just 10 straight years of exploitation and being used and knowing that there are literal sex robots that your fans / supposed fans have. It's
crazy.
So,
like, knowing that, like, these people are going home and fucking a robot version of you.
Yeah. I would feel so detached from, like, my own physical body and then just, like, my sense of self. Yeah. I wouldn't even feel like I had my own autonomy.
Yeah.
And he doesn't.
He doesn't.
And
no,
it
he
shows.
doesn't. Yeah. Poor guy.
Yeah. So when Moxie starts singing about being all in love with Millie, Fizz, like, looks up and smiles at Ozzy, but Ozzy is like, because that's not the type of vibe that his restaurant's supposed to have.
Yeah.
And it's not that he's against that personally, it's just that he knows that's not the image he's supposed to have, and that people will start to be, you know, push the whole agenda of, like, the worst kept secret in hell.
Yeah.
Fizz, Raleigh, and Ozzy are in love. And then, like, he doesn't really want that to get out and be a thing. So he's, like, Fizz looks... I could also see it if Fizz was, like, excited in a, like, let's get this guy kind of way.
Yeah, that's true.
But, yeah, either way, Ozzy is like,
yeah.
Let's do something about this.
Yeah, so that, and then also, I think it going back to, like, the original thing, Fizz wanting to, like, show their love like Millie and Moxie do, and then Ozzy shutting him down, like, so sad, especially if this is his first relationship.
Yeah.
This
show is really good at painting relationships that, like, there are maybe, like, elements that are, like, quote-unquote toxic, but they do it in a way so that, like, neither party is deliberately at fault, and, like, they're both, like, sympathetic and understandable, and, like, you still want to root for them, and then they, like, actually make the effort to, like, improve and get better, and it's really good at that kind of thing.
It is, and I really appreciate that about it.
Yeah. But yeah, oh god, the whole thing with, like, Fizz, we see later, being obsessed with, like, being perfect. People seeing him as perfect, having this, like, shiny, polished image that he displays to the public. That is also kind of mirrored here with the whole, like, I need people to see me in the right way, and Ozzy needs to be seen in the right way, so we need to act like this, I need to do this, and it's...
Yeah, and, like, needing to be perfect and on point all the time and, like, not mess up at all. It's, like, it's so... Like, watching this episode after seeing the new episode just changed everything.
It's so fucked, and this episode was already so fucked.
Yeah.
It's double fucked.
Double fucked.
Double fucked.
Like the Oreo.
Like the Oreo.
Anyway, I think we already talked... Oh, wait, this is a different song. Fucking banger.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's the same song.
Yeah, but different part.
Yeah, the trumpet.
Brown, brown, brown.
I love... It's like a trope in this show of announcing instruments. It's in fucking Chaz's song, and X's and O's where he goes, saxophone. Trumpet. Yeah, and then fast forward a bit, Fizz... We've been jumping around a lot, by the way. We're kind of sectioning this by, like, characters.
And by, like, main points,
Yeah, rather than, like, specific chronological order. But anyway, Fizz like, naming kinks, like, butt stuff, piss play, bondage, and with butt stuff totally calling out the fact that Moxie gets pegged.
He took one look at that guy and said he gets pegged.
He gets pegged. I like to think that Moxie was like, make gentle love to you, and also the butt stuff.
They interrupted him.
Yeah.
He was about to get there.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if we need to get into this any more than we already have. About,
yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah, just Fizz and Ozzy just hits different after the newer episodes. But yeah, going back to Millie and Moxie, they're just so they just don't take anyone's shit.
Yeah.
They're so in love, and that's all that matters to them is each other and their relationship and the fact that they love each other, and it's their 1-year marriage anniversary.
Yes.
And they're so cute.
Yeah. This little bullet point that we have is, like, the leaving Ozzy, so there's a lot of different character stuff all, like, smushed in. So, like, yeah, they're unfazed. They're not taking anyone's shit. They're like, we love each other. Mm-hmm. We are gonna not do things we don't like to do. We're gonna be cool.
Don't have to pretend to like to do things we don't.
And then Ozzy mocks their PDA, and then Fizz is, like, has a very sad face.
Yeah, I know. He kind of, like, mimics Ozzy's expression at first, though. He's, like, shaking his head at them. He's like, tisk, tisk, tisk.
Yeah.
I don't remember his sad face, but I'll double-check that, because I'm probably just forgetting. And then, as Blitz and Stolas are leaving, Stolas is, like, hiding his face from people still. Mm-hmm. Still. Like, even, like, he doesn't even know what that did to Blitz. He has no idea.
He has no idea.
And Blitz is hugging himself as he leaves, which we see when he's walking in the circus, when he's, like, walking through Stolas' house, like, down the hallway. He's, like, hugging himself a little bit there. Yeah. And there's definitely another time we see it, and I don't remember where that is.
I think it's a fairly regular, like, comforting mechanism for him. What's that? Yeah. Not comforting. You know what I'm saying. Coping mechanism.
He's wrapping his arms around himself, kind of, like, closing in on himself.
Like, protecting himself
yeah. Have you... I'll have to ask you about a book after this
Okay.
podcast. I'm embarrassed to say it on the podcast. No.
All right. Okay. The drive home.
So... Can I...
You can go ahead, yeah.
Okay, so... this is a little inside joke we've had. But it's also very true. So, Stolas, we see at the start of this episode, or near the beginning, Stolas, like, takes a portal to Ozzy's, right? He just, like, teleports there, basically. His ass did not need a ride, but yet we see Blitz drop him off at his house. So that begs the question, did Blitz offer the ride?
Yeah.
Did Stolas just get in the car? Like, how did that come about?
Yeah. And if Blitz did offer, why did Stolas accept?
Yeah.
And then, like, did Blitz insist, or did Stolas think they'd have a chance to talk? Like,
I feel like it makes sense that Stolas would want to go with him, because, like, he's probably very worried about Blitz at this point, and, like, confused about the whole situation, and just wants to, like, figure things out and talk, and, you know, have a little cuddle. But I'm curious why... I can't imagine Blitz offered unless he just, like, totally forgot about the portal thing. And he's just like, let's go. Do you need a ride? Get in the car. And then Stolas is like, all right. Also, Stolas does not fit in that fucking car.
No, he does not fit in there.
But then also, if Blitz didn't offer, did Stolas just, like, get in?
Yeah.
Like, why did Blitz let him do that?
Yeah,
It's so much. Maybe Blitz also, like, wanted him there, even though he, like, also didn't want him there, and he didn't know how to say what he wanted, you know?
Yeah.
But then, this is the part that really gets me.
Yeah.
So, we're fairly certain, just based on what we've seen of hell and people traveling through it, we're fairly certain that there's, like, an elevator that takes you from ring to ring. But
we didn't know that at the time.
At the time, we really didn't know what the case was, so we like to imagine they just drive up and around all of the rings of hell, which they're in Lust, and they're going up to, where does Stolas live? Pride? which is the first ring.
Yeah.
So up from lust to pride. Like, you do the math. Like, that is several rings.
And so every now and again when we're talking about this episode, we just do this hand motion that's just, like, circles slowly going up.
Yeah. And then it's like, was there any talking during that car ride?
Yeah.
Even if they're taking an elevator, that's still gotta be a long-ass ride.
Yeah.
Like, are they talking? Are they listening to music? Or
just sitting in silence.
Like,
I can imagine that Stolas was like, so, Blitz, and he just doesn't respond.
No response. Yeah. Also, we see in the scene that's about to follow that Blitz is, like, fighting off tears, basically.
Yeah.
So I could imagine, like, him giving any response to Stolas would just immediately, like, tears would start coming. So
which I think we've also talked about the fact that this man is always one inconvenience away from a breakdown.
Yes, absolutely always. Like, even more so in this moment, but, like, just on a given day, like, one really shitty thing could happen, or even a slightly shitty thing could happen, and he's just like, I gotta be alone right now.
Yeah, so true.
I gotta pull out my little horse keychain.
Yeah, it reminds me of the, alright, I've had one too many emotions for today.
Let's fuck these fuckers up. Yeah. Yeah. On the note of Stolas not fitting in the car, he really struggles to get up.
He, like, bonks his head and then his leg, and then, like, things fall out.
Condoms fall everywhere.
Yeah. And then he goes, thanks.
Yeah. Yeah. We have a bullet point under that's just stupid fucking people-pleasing gay-ass bird. That's not a sentence about me. I don't know what it is.
Are you a bird?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. As Stolas is getting out of the car, Blitz is just, like, turned away, like, not even looking at him. Which, again, relates to the whole, like, him being upset, like, just wanting to be alone. But I also like to think he's, like, embarrassed for Stolas as he's climbing out of the car.
He's like, I'm not gonna look at you, don't worry.
This fucking guy.
The next bullet point is just the fight, TM.
TM, yeah. So, okay, this is a very important scene. For a lot of reasons, but it's important to me on a personal level, because this is the first scene I ever saw of Helluva Boss, because I was just, on a fateful day back in March of 2023, I was watching YouTube Shorts, and then this scene came up, like a clip of this scene came up in a YouTube Short with some, like, cheesy TikTok audio in the background, and I just watched it, like, over and over again, and I was so intrigued. I was like, what the fuck is this? So I searched it up, and I think later that same night I watched the pilot of the show, and then within a few days, I was absolutely crazy about it, and now we have a podcast.
Yeah. Also, I don't know if we've talked about our, like, foundation to Helluva, but I didn't know about it at all until Audie had watched all of it, I think, which at that point was X's and...
I had watched, like, half of it, and also... X's and O's dropped, coincidentally, a few days after I found the show.
Yeah.
Like, the week that I found it, X's and O's dropped, which was lucky timing. But I was about halfway through the show, and I was telling you and our whole friend group, like, guys, can we please watch it together? So I rewatched the first half of the show with you guys.
Oh, right, I forgot about that.
As you all watched it for the first time. And I also watched the rest of the show on my own, and then continued to rewatch it with you guys.
Yeah. I think that so we watched the first, like, 3 or 4 episodes, as a group, and then I think, like, that next night I watched everything else.
Yeah.
And I remember I watched X's and O's, like, twice or 3 times back to back, because I was like, hold on.
No, literally, X's and O's I watched, like, the night it dropped, and then the morning after it dropped, and then the afternoon after it dropped.
I remember that you were fucking crazy.
I just could not stop. Just the fact that it was, like, perfect timing.
Yeah.
Like, the week I get into it, and then it's like, oh, here's one of the most emotionally devastating episodes in the whole show.
Yeah,
here you go. Yeah. So yeah, that was an experience. I just had to say that. I have a lot of feelings about this scene.
Yeah.
For a lot of reasons.
Fair.
I could quote most of it from memory. I'm not going to.
Okay.
But I could.
I was like, okay, go ahead. Yeah.
So
the next bullet point is such a pivot.
Yeah. Well, not really.
Yeah.
Relating to the fight.
Yeah.
The conversation. Sorry, I feel like I'm talking a lot.
No, you're good. For it. Yeah, so Blitz doesn't believe that Stolas likes spending time with him, and, like, or that he, like, possibly could like spending time with him. So Stolas is like, let's cuddle, let's, like, have a night. Yeah, and then Blitz is like, nah, bitch, like, all you want me for is sex. And it's so sad because, like, you notice fundamentally that's what he thinks about himself.
Yeah. And, yeah.
And I think, I wonder, like, obviously he isn't exploited in the way that Fizz is because he never worked with Mama, but it makes me think, like just the exploitation of them as kids, even if it wasn't necessarily sexual.
Yeah.
Like, obviously there was a little bit of sexual stuff going around, because, like, we have that fan that was, like, always sniffing around our dressing rooms.
Yeah.
So obviously there's, like, a little bit of that going on, and I just wonder how that affects his sense of self, too.
Oh, yeah, for sure. It's, yeah. I mean, I feel like any performing job, whether it be acting or, like, the circus or you know, theater or whatever, for children, it's, like, inherently exploitative.
Oh, yeah.
Not sexual
Sometimes.
of the time. Sometimes. Not inherently sexual. Often
Yeah.
sexual, unfortunately. But it's just so... like, they're... A lot of the times, especially in a situation where, like, Blitz and Fizz literally grew up in it, there's no opportunity for consent into that position.
Right.
So it's... Yeah. It's just... It's such a fucked little situation, and... Yeah, it definitely affected them in different ways because they had very different experiences.
Yeah.
But it definitely affected Blitz in some way.
Yeah. And I think, too, like, that mixed with the fact that, like, it started as a barter deal. Like, it just really fucked up his sense of self, and then also his sense of, like, what it means to, like what a relationship is. And like...
Sorry, by barter deal, you mean the Fizz... I mean, not Fizz, Stolas. Him being asked to play with Stolas as kids? Is that what you're referencing?
No, I'm talking about the sex for the grimoire.
Oh,
thing.
that. Well,
Yeah.
even as kids, though.
Yeah, that's true.
That's not something they... That was like a
barter deal.
It was almost like like favors for favors.
Yeah.
The original... Favors for favors.
Their whole friendship is based on
God.
favors for favors.
Yeah.
Not friendship, relationship.
Yeah.
Friendship, I say.
Like they're like imposed by their fathers.
Yeah.
Which is so fucked. God. The
Crazy.
revelations we're having in real time today.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Thank you all for listening to us while we're like, whoa, hold on.
Hang on. So at 1 minute and 52. Yeah.
Yeah. The next point we have is that Blitz has one single tear and then covers his face and looks away.
Yeah.
Like,
Again, constantly on the edge of a breakdown.
afraid to cry in front of people.
Yeah. Which we wrote why ? And I think that means, like, apart from the obvious,
Yeah.
like, everything about Blitz.
Right. We also wrote daddy issues, performer trauma.
Needing to be happy all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it goes on. Yeah, God. But I really like this bullet point. Both these bitches are so sad and scared. Really sums it up. Like,
Yeah.
we could just stop talking there.
Yeah, so true. For reference, I wrote most of these notes, and so this is, like, all just shit I just wrote.
Yeah, I'm reading a lot of these for the first time.
But they are both, in fact, so scared and scared.
So scad and scared.
Yeah, if just for reference, we're recording this episode at night. We usually record in, like, the morning/afternoon.
Yeah.
And so I am fucked up.
So fair. Yeah, and because they're so sad and scared, they can't communicate their needs or figure out what they want or really have any conversation that would solve their problems. And again, we talked about this a little bit an episode or two ago, but, like, the miscommunication is done so well, because it's, like, you know exactly what needs to be said to fix things, but it wouldn't make sense for them to actually be saying it.
Yeah.
And so it's, like, this really good tension of, like, I want this to be resolved, but also it can't be resolved yet, even though I know... You know? It's like, even if they said those things, it wouldn't really be enough at this moment in time. And so it's done really well. It
is. And especially, like, the character, like, development and stuff is also done so well because, you're right, like, they wouldn't say it. And it's not like, okay, just fucking say this. It's like, yeah, that wouldn't make sense. And it's, like you said, they're just so real and genuine.
Yeah.
And I think that the show, like, it's one of their things that's just so fucking good.
Like... In no world would Blitz just right now be like, hey, I feel like all you want out of me is sex, and I feel this way because X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
And that stems from the trauma I had as a kid. Like,
yeah.
in no world would he say any of that right now. even though, like, if they just actually laid it all out on the table, it would be like, oh, there you go. But, like, that's not how it works. And
that's how real people are.
That's how real people are, yeah. Like, I personally, I love that kind of real-life communication where you kind of just, like, say fuck it and just, like, lay everything out in front of you. And then, even if, you know, it's not an easy thing to do, and that's why people don't do it. But it would solve a lot of problems, but people don't do that.
Yeah, exactly.
And it makes sense.
Especially when they're as fucked up and complicated as these bitches are.
Yeah.
So Blitz snaps when Stolas offers him wine. Like, obviously he's in a bad, like, headspace at this point and is, like, crying and shit. But when, or not crying yet, I don't think it's the...
No.
This is the, I'm not fucking you tonight.
I'm not fucking you tonight. Yeah.
But it's right after the wine line, which I think, given, like, Blitz's whole situation with substance abuse and things, is very fascinating. Like, do they normally drink together? Does Stolas normally drink when Blitz doesn't? Like, how does that normally go?
Yeah.
Because Stolas also has definitely got some alcohol issues going on.
Yeah.
And if they do drink, does Blitz need alcohol to get through their meetings or, like, cope with his feelings about him? Like, is he only able to, like, really, like, what am I looking for? Like, I guess, release, like, tension and stuff to be able to...
be comfortable.
Yeah, and connect with Stolas in that way with alcohol.
Which would explain why, like... I mean, from what we see of how Blitz acts towards Stolas, we, like... don't see any reason for why Stolas could believe that Blitz reciprocates feelings, like, honestly. Yeah. But it would make sense, like, we haven't actually seen one of their, like, little, you know, sex days, other than the very first time.
Right.
Which also we don't see much of, we just see, like, you know, the before. And then we see I'm not saying we should see them have sex on screen, by the way, but, like, we don't see much of those situations, but it would make sense if, like, Blitz was under some influence or just in some way being more intimate and open than we ever see him otherwise.
Yeah.
Because, like, from what we see, one, it doesn't seem like Blitz likes Stolas, like, at all. Like, like the way he talks and treats Stolas. And then it doesn't seem like there's any reason why Stolas should like Blitz, honestly.
Yeah.
So, like, yeah, I want to know more about what exactly goes on, and, like...
I do, too, especially if they are having this kind of, like, it also could be just, like, a lovesick thing, in the sense of, like, even if he's not intoxicated, if they are, like, having sex, and then, like, he gets that sense of, like, lovesick, and then, like, is okay with them, like, cuddling after, and things like that. And, like you said earlier, I don't even think we were on the podcast yet when we were talking about this, but, like... where they do that and then, like, they cuddle and then he wakes up the next morning and he's panicked.
Yeah.
Like, I could definitely see that being a thing, and...
Oh, yes, I remember when I said that. I was like...
It was actually at the dining hall.
Yeah, that was, like, hours ago. Yeah.
But, like, him, like, waking up and being panicked, and then that's when, like, his protective, like, coping mechanisms kick in. He's like, I've got to get out of here.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I could see that being... Because you're right. It wouldn't make sense for Stolas to think that he likes him for any reason. Unless, like, the mixed messages must be happening off screen.
Yeah. 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 I'm not fucking you tonight. That being literally I think the very first line from the show I heard, I'm not fucking you tonight. And I was like, ooh, say more.
Well, the first line you heard was, thanks.
No, I think it was technically, sorry, the line before when Stolas offers him the wine. I think it started there, the YouTube short I saw. Okay. I'll try and find the exact YouTube short and, like, link it on our story or something. Or in the newsletter. That's the newsletter. But you've already heard us talk about that. Yeah. But, and, yeah, also with Stolas, like, continuously being, like, you know, in this moment he's like, we could talk or watch a movie or cuddle, and, like, we see him do this other times. He's like, hey, like, let's hang out.
Yeah.
And Blitz is like, alright, you want us to fuck.
Yeah.
And it's like, Stolas is honestly being, like, fairly clear. Like, the whole nature of their relationship makes things unclear, so it still makes sense why Blitz is like, no, he just wants me for sex. But like, I don't know. Stolas is really being like, no, like, we could also do this instead, and Blitz just still cannot believe it.
Yeah.
That Stolas would want anything else from him, and it's just so telling of how Blitz thinks of himself and what Blitz thinks Stolas thinks of him.
Yeah.
Which also goes into the whole, like, class difference and power dynamic.
Yeah. I think also Blitz just being physically unable to be like, this person wants to love me and be with me.
Yeah.
I think also goes, like, it's double-edged because it's like, he probably thinks that he's unable to, like, be loved, but at the same time, he feels like getting close to anyone is going to inherently hurt them because the, like, one time that he tried to express his feelings to someone, he fucking started a fire that killed his mom. So, like,
I would love to see, like, Blitz and Fizz hanging out now that their friendship is, like, rekindled, and they're just talking, and Fizz is like, you want to hear something crazy? When we were kids, I, like, had a big crush on you, and Blitz is like, wait, what? And that just, like, rewrites everything in his brain. Because that's like, no, but I set you on fire.
Yeah,
He's
so
like, well,
true.
Before that, but
also... And also, I think Fizz, I mean, not Fizz, Blitz must, given, obviously, like, Blitz is different now after the fire, and that's traumatizing and informative, but before then, he most definitely also hated himself.
Yeah.
And so he must have at least had some hint that Fizz liked him back. I can't imagine him just trying to be like, do you want to date, without him thinking that he liked him back.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that necessarily be so formative, but it would be funny if they have that conversation and then Blitz is like, so you remember when I set you on fire? Before that.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you think Blitz is gonna... Because I feel like the next episode that's gonna come out, Full Moon, is gonna be Stolas giving the crystal to Blitz, and then the consequences of that.
Yeah.
I'm fairly certain that's gonna be the next episode, and then Blitz is gonna, like, mega spiral after that, and I'm wondering if it's going to lead to him in any way, like, trying to get Fizz romantically.
Yeah.
And I don't think Fizz would go through with it.
I don't think so either. Yeah, especially where him and Ozzy just got so tight and like good. But also, I can't imagine that Fizz won't be tempted by it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because what if like before that happens, they show us like Fizz reciprocating feelings when they were kids, and then now Blitz being like, hey, I'm like in love with you, like let's date, let's fuck, let's do something. Like. I don't think Fizz would leave Ozzy, and certainly wouldn't cheat on Ozzy. I don't think.
I could see a heat of the moment thing.
Yeah. I don't know. That'd be a whole can of worms,
I could see a heat of the moment thing happening, and like then Fizz immediately being like, no, fuck.
Like a single kiss or something. Maybe not even like anything more than that.
Yeah.
Just like he briefly kisses him back, and then he's like, oh my god.
Yeah.
And then he could probably like outright tell Ozzy about it.
Yeah. Oh no, Fizz would not keep that a secret. No. He's incapable of that. I love him, but he's incapable of that.
He'd be like, Blitz kissed me, and Ozzy would go, oh, and Fizz would go, and I kissed him back, and
I'm so sorry.
Lose his
mind.
Yeah. But anyway, I'd be so curious to see if that's the thing that happens. Especially with Blitz's, like, feelings for Fizz / attraction to Fizz being prevalent, like, throughout the whole show.
Yeah.
Like, back in Lululand with the, oh, what a mouth.
Yeah.
Something is gonna come of it, and I'm so scared.
Yeah, there's no way that, like, I thought it was hinting at a romantic / sexual relationship that they had already had, but there's no way that you're right, there's no way that they fucking, like, lay all that out and then they're not going to do anything with it. Also, I did want to circle back a little to the bullet point.
Sorry.
What?
Do you think, is there any situation in which Fizz and Ozzy would invite Blitz for a threesome?
I mean, I can't say that it would be off the table.
I also can't. Anyway, go on.
I think it would also definitely be more for Fizz. Like, Ozzy would be like, you know what, Fizz hasn't been that fun in bed. You want to come spice things up or some shit? Ozzy just, like, watches them fuck or some shit. I don't know.
Ozzy's like, I am the sin of lust. Like, let's bring in a third.
Let's so true.
Fizz, you had feelings for this guy as a child? Okay.
All right.
Attention.
That would be really funny.
It was so funny, and it's so, like, possible that it's even more funny.
Yeah. Going back again, though, to, the whole, like, I'm not fucking you, all that. Blitz being scared of being manipulated or being caught in something that he can't get out of is such a concept.
Yes.
Because of how he grew up. So, like, he doesn't want to be tied, especially, like, when you think of Verosika, too, like, I imagine that was a relationship he felt pretty tied to.
Yeah.
Because he was in the public eye, and if he dated Stolas, like, officially, that would also be in the public eye. So that's a whole other thing.
I'm curious if he was in the public eye, because we keep assuming that, but there's a chance they kept it on the down low, Blitz and Verosika.
There definitely is.
Just, like, I don't know, with the whole, there could be explanations for, like, Millie and Moxie and Luna, like, not hearing about it, but I think the fact that they haven't heard about it makes it possible that, like, they tried to keep it as low-key as possible.
Yeah.
Especially, we don't really know much about the nature of the relationship. If it was, like, a mostly sexual thing, then that would make a lot of sense.
And we also have no idea how long.
Yeah, true.
Also, I think it was, like, left me at the hotel or something, too. So, like, it wasn't a point where they were, like, going to each other, unless it was, like, a romantic taking you to a hotel thing.
Right.
It wasn't at the point where they were at each other's houses or anything.
Yeah, it's true.
So that's something for sure. Also, Blitz being afraid that Stolas isn't gonna like him, once he actually gets to know him.
And then, don't act like what we have is anything more than you wanting me to fuck you, okay? You make that really clear, and then his voice breaks all the time. It's so, again, one of those moments, sorry, I keep, like, inhaling mucus, not to be gross. It's one of those, like, instances of Brendan Rogers being a, surprisingly, no offense, talented voice actor.
Yeah, no, he's so good.
He's really good. And he's just, like, from YouTube.
Yeah, he's
like,
just some guy.
I don't know that he has any other history of voice acting other than, like, his own personal skits and things and, like, other YouTuber skits. I don't know that he's done anything more professional than this. But he's, like, he's good. And he suits the role really well.
He really does, yeah. Blitz says, I'm sorry, and then looks away, and this is the second time we ever hear him apologize.
Yeah, also, we skipped the point.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're good. When Blitz, like, points at him at Stolas when he's saying all of that, Stolas, like, flinches, which is what he does when Stella points at him when they have their argument at the end of the circus. And it's...
Makes me crazy.
That is a man that gets hit by his wife, first of all.
Well, that's a man who got hit probably as a child. And now gets hit by his wife. Yeah.
Probably wants to hit himself,
Thinks he deserves it.
Oh, God. Anyway.
I'm sorry thing, though. The only other time we see Blitz apologize is to Moxie in Truth Seekers. And that's in a... Like, it is in a genuine way, but it's also in a... Can't believe I said that.
And they're high on truth serum.
Yeah.
So, like, he's not really in control of his speech.
Yeah, true. And if he, honestly, thinking about that, maybe he thinks, like, I'm sorry in his head a lot, and he never says it.
Yeah.
Because he has to say it in Truth Seekers, because they're in the truth serum.
Yeah.
So this, in that regard, could be the first ever, like... Deliberate, that's what I was looking for, apology, which is...
Yeah. I think since this episode, we've gotten, to Fizz.
Yeah.
About the fire.
Look, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry that you got so hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyway.
And actually admitting fault.
Slay.
Yeah.
Growth.
Go
King.
My God, the bow. Sorry, I just read the next bullet point. So in the circus, we have, like, when Blitz and Stolas first meet as kids, Stolas bows to him, and then his dad smacks him on the head, and he's like, he bows to us, idiot.
Yeah.
That's when they're kids, when they meet for the very first time, and then in this scene, Stolas goes, good night, Blitz, and he bows to Blitz, and then Blitz just is like, good night, and drives away.
Yeah.
And it's, God. And this episode, again, comes out before the circus, so, like, another one of those things where on first watch, you don't even notice it, and then you rewatch, and you're like, fuck you, Vipsy Pop. You're crazy.
Yeah.
/ positive. Love you, girl.
Yeah, so true. I feel like this one we might be able to save for Queen Bee, quite frankly.
Okay.
Yeah, so do you want to skip to this?
Also, Stola's crying.
Oh, yeah. Stola's crying.
Yeah.
That's the whole bullet point.
The whole bullet point, yeah. They both crying tonight.
Yeah, they both cry, go home,
drink,
get drunk.
Yeah. If only they knew.
Yeah, wake up, have an emotion, or I guess Blitz has the emotional revelation before he falls asleep, because he's like, I'm gonna die alone, aren't I?
Yeah. But that's next episode.
But the fact that they both, and then like Solus wakes up and then has his emotional revelation, is like, I need to leave my wife.
Yeah. Hang on, let me sing a gay little ballad first. Okay, Stella, get the fuck out.
Yeah, sing a gay little ballad, talk about some crystals, divorce my wife.
Yeah. Question mark, profit. Yeah, and then I feel like we can do a real quick run through of this section.
Yeah.
Analyzing the stuff on Blitz's home, basically, the things on his wall.
In his camera roll, and then we have a couple of other things like about his actual actions at home.
Yeah. So on his wall, there's a shit ton of pictures of there's like Millie and Moxie, just Millie, just Moxie, Luna, all of them. Blitz is in a lot of them, but in all the ones that he is in, he has scratched out his own face.
Yeah, it looks like maybe he's taken a Sharpie to it or something.
Yeah. Just scribbled his own face out, this is a man with self-loathing issues.
Yeah, for sure. And like, I can't imagine that someone else did this, so it's him doing it.
Definitely him.
And it's like,
it'd be funny if Luna one day was just like, fuck you, Dad!
Yeah, so true. Even the ones of him as a kid.
Yeah. This fucking baby. No, yeah, but it is the ones of him younger.
Yeah.
There's one of him as a small child giving an apple to the horses at the circus.
Yeah.
Which is really cute, but even that one, he scribbled out his face.
Yeah, which is I think it really shows, like, how intense his self-loathing is, to even, like, the point of, like, 5-6-year-old him, he doesn't like.
Yeah.
Which is, like...
Like, that has to go so deep to, like, see your childhood self as someone worthy of hatred.
Yeah, especially, like, I mean, when that's how he was socialized.
Yeah.
And so he probably is like, you're stupid, you can never, like, make it as anything. Even to that little kid, like, this man just needs to go to therapy, and his therapist needs to say, like, hey, have you ever seen a 5-year-old child? Would you expect them to be perfect at the circus?
Yeah. God. Yeah. The fact that, like, Fizz being so talented, like, that was, like, an outlier, you know?
Yeah.
Like, Blitz being, like, mediocre or whatever, that's a child.
Yeah, that's standard.
He shouldn't be expected to be fantastic. Also, they did the whole trapeze thing together. He was good at that.
He was. He was, like, I would say exceptional for a little baby.
Yeah.
And then also, Fizz being so perfect definitely relies heavily on his own issues. So it's like,
yeah,
it's crazy.
God, if he had been in that dressing room with Fizz in the musical episode.
Yeah.
Like, if he had heard what Ozzy heard, saw what Ozzy saw, it would have like
fundamentally changed him.
So many things would have clicked into place. It probably would have pissed him the fuck off, because he'd be like, what do you mean? You've always been perfect.
Yeah.
Shut up. But then, like, it would have hit him and been like, oh, you have always been perfect.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man.
Okay.
Anyway, horses.
And it is so fascinating, too, that Blitz wasn't in that dressing room.
Yeah.
Like, he didn't follow him. Like, that was a choice.
Yeah.
On the writers, I say.
Yeah.
The writers, I say.
Writers. Yeah. God, I cannot wait to talk about that episode.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's also a lot of horse drawings on the wall, and some of them are on pictures of his lovely coworkers and friends.
Yes.
There are some around Moxie's face.
And it's a picture, too, of Moxie looking so pissed off. Like, obviously, he took this picture when Moxie did not want to be photographed.
Yeah.
And then they're just cute little horses on the corners.
It looks like Moxie is annoyed about the horses, which is so funny.
Yeah.
And then there's a picture of Blitz and Barbie when they were young. Again, Blitz fully scribbled out. And Barbie, when we see her in present day, her, like, markings from the circus, those are crossed out in present day.
Even when it seems like she's a teen or so.
Yeah, in the Amazing Imp Twins poster,
they're
they're crossed out as well. But in this picture, they're very clearly younger. We can't see Blitz, but Barbie, very clearly a lot younger, and her markings are not crossed out.
Yeah.
And I'm really curious to know what caused I know we've said this a million times, so we just still don't have an answer, but I am going towards like, self-inflicted for one reason or another.
Yeah.
Because it's just too, like, exact of a cross.
Yeah, and I think, like, it definitely could be a tattoo, but also given the markings are black, I feel like tattoos would probably also be black.
I feel like they would, yeah.
And so it has to be a scar.
Yeah.
Which is fascinating. Maybe that should be our question, our Helluva Q&A, is what do you think caused Barbie's X and, like, why?
In, like, 2 weeks, an episode's gonna come out explaining it, and everyone's gonna be like, well, actually,
yeah.
we don't know yet.
Yeah, so. And that's what happened with, it was a question, and they were like, it was from the fire, and we're like, yeah, we know. Because, like, all the new listeners. What
happened to Blitz's scar?
Yeah.
Yes.
We know that now. It's on an episode, like, way back.
Yeah.
Anyway. He also has the adoption certificate, like, framed, right, on his wall, Luna. Which is so cute.
Yeah.
And horsies that he drew.
So many horsies. One of them is, like, dead.
Like, killed over on the ground upside down. He's such a silly guy.
So silly. Also, he goes to knock on Luna's door, and then he sees the note, but the fact that he, like, goes to knock implies that he was going to talk to her about, like, the night he had, or at least talk to her about something.
Like, it could be as small as just, like, checking in, but, like, the way that it was the first thing he did, either A, he wanted to go check in with her because she generally makes him feel better, which is so sweet, or he was going to talk to her because, like, he probably felt himself, like, being, like, obviously he very easily relapsed, so he probably felt himself being so out of control, and he was like, okay, fuck, I'm going to talk to someone about it, which is, like, so big for him.
Yeah, I feel like even if he was like, oh, I'm going to go see what Luna's up to, there's definitely that subconscious motivation of, like, I need to talk to someone right now.
Yeah.
But then Luna's not there, and... Yeah, and again, he goes to the couch immediately.
Yeah.
Implying that Luna's room is the only bedroom, and that he potentially gave it to her.
Yeah.
When he adopted her. Or maybe he just always slept on the couch. Because I think you pointed out, like, did he even have a bed as a child? Yeah,
because we've seen their circus and we don't see any beds.
No.
And, like, when Cash... Buxo, his dad, is, like, just relaxing. It's on this, like, weird, broken couch. It's not, and, like, that makes me kind of think that maybe that's, like, the situation.
Yeah, and, like, if that's what his dad gets, like, Blitz probably has even less than
he's
like,
probably, like, or, like, on the floor.
Yeah, so he's probably, it would make more sense if he didn't even, like, think to sleep in a bed, or, like, wasn't comfortable doing it. Now, moving on from... decor to Blitz's phone. Okay. So there are several apps on his phone. Some of them are genuinely, like, kind of meaningful and interesting world building, but I think the most important one is Horsey Dress Up Game.
Yes.
It says Horsey Dress Up. It is a picture of, like, a yassified horse.
Yeah, and it's, like, very clearly, like, a game for, like, 6-year-olds.
Yeah. And that's, like, front and center on his phone screen. And there's also Whack Donald's.
Yeah.
Which is McDonald's, but, like, Wally Wackford for some reason.
Why is Wally doing everything, and how is this man not rich?
Yeah, and, like... Is he gonna be significant at all, or is he just, like, a running joke? I genuinely can't tell.
Yeah.
Because there's...
I kind of like him as a running joke, but I don't know either.
Yeah.
It seems that Blitz has a personal relationship with him, though.
It does. Yeah. Because which episode is it that is it Cherubs, where he sees him on the TV, and then he's like, perfect, and explodes it?
Yeah.
Like, there's something extra there, but maybe it's also like, oh, I see this guy in every fucking ad, let's destroy him, you know?
That's true.
I don't know. Yeah, but there are... sorry.
No, you're good.
There are apps that seem like an app for almost every single ring of hell. There's Google Maps, like a Google Maps equivalent that represents, like, the 7 rings.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's Lustinder, which is Tinder but lust. There's a Sleepy Pills app. I don't really know what that is, but it's for sloth.
It's funny because it's like, is it a sleep app or is it a drug app? That's the question.
Yeah. There's the Mammon Bank app, which is for greed. It's like banking. There's an app called NV, like the letters NV, to represent the sin of envy.
Yeah.
And it kind of looks like a TikTok equivalent, maybe, just from, like, the color scheme of the app icon. I don't know, we haven't seen anything from the envy ring at this point, so other than, like, knowing that envy is, like, jealousy.
Yeah.
I mean, an app like TikTok or any social media would make sense.
Yeah, it would.
So, I'm not sure. And then there's an app that's, like, a pride flag, that might represent the pride ring. The name of it is written, but we can't really read it.
Yeah.
I might post that on the Instagram story and ask if anyone can make it out. I tried, like, editing the picture, and I still couldn't get it. And then we don't see any app that represents wrath, except there's one app that's, like, almost completely obscured by Blitz's thumb, like, being over it. It's, like, yellow and purple, but that's all we can see about it. So that could be wrath, but otherwise wrath is, like, the only one missing.
Yeah. I think, though, it is really cool that it is the sins. Like, like, that's just such a cool...
It's cool, yeah.
Choice.
Yeah. And also, we made this realization, like, minutes before we started recording.
Yeah.
We were, like, finishing up our notes, and then I was like, hang on a minute.
Yeah. One thing we made in our first round of notes, though, is that the background on his phone is a drawing of him riding a horse.
Yeah.
And we just realized that the horse is named Maroof.
Maroof. Maroof.
Because there's an arrow pointing to Blitz that says me, and then an arrow pointing to the horse that says Maroof.
Maroof. I think it says Maroof.
Yeah.
It's a little unclear. It might just be roof. I don't really know.
But Maroof is better.
Maroof is really funny.
But also Roof. This horse named Roof is also funny.
I mean, this is a guy who wants to name horses Stapler and Biscuit Queen.
Yeah.
So it tracks either way.
Yeah, but that's just such a funny little detail.
Yeah.
And the camera roll. Are we ready for the camera roll?
Here we go. Let's just go bang, bang, bang.
Alright. So, first of all of these are fucking crazy after season 2.
Yeah, they all hit different. You want to go bullet point for bullet point?
Yeah, sure. Okay. Like, alternate?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yes. Stolas and Blitz cuddling. Blitz clearly took the pic because his arm's, like, upright.
Yeah, which is so cute.
Yeah,
he took the picture.
Which also, I think, goes into him being, like, vulnerable and stuff.
Yeah, when it's just the two of them, like, in a bed together, like, I really want to see what they're like.
I would like to even just see, like, after sex.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how they... Like, aftercare.
Stolas brings him, like, a cup of tea.
Yeah. Like, I want to see that. I don't need to see them fucking, but I want to see that.
No. I would love to, like, even just, it could be, like, a black screen, where, like, we don't see anything, but they're, like, laying in bed together, and we just hear, like, a conversation. We don't even need to see anything. Just, like, I want to hear.
Yeah.
I want to know.
I think that would genuinely change our understanding of them, like, a lot.
Yeah. Next is bubble tea with Eminem is a picture, which we see Blitz having bubble tea in one of the cameras in Truth Seekers. Mm-hmm. So that's, like, clearly, like, an expedition to Earth that, like, we didn't get to see. But we've seen multiple references to it.
Which is so funny and cute. So cute. The next one is Moxie getting hired or, like, starting at IMP. Like, I don't remember exactly what's in the picture, but it's very clear that he's new to the company. Mm-hmm. And also that that's something that Blitz, like, keeps... I don't know if this is just his general camera roll or if this is, like, his saved pictures.
Right.
But it's genuinely one of his, like, top pictures.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that, I think, is really telling of their relationship.
Yeah. Next is him adopting Luna. That's... I don't know. That's it. Adopting Luna. Go for it.
Oh, sorry. The next is a picture with Veroska, which we've already kind of talked about.
Yeah.
He looks different. He looks like a douchebag.
Yeah. Next is the Mammon concert picture, with Blitz and Fizz as teenagers, which we now have a lot more context for following the musical special. But Blitz and Fizz look, like, very intimate and very close here. Like, I think one of them has their arm around the other, and they're, like, very clearly having a good time. They're very close. Yeah. Very telling of their relationship.
And then the next one is Little Fizz and Blitz being besties, and they have, like, an arm around each other.
Oh, is that the one they have an arm around each other in? Maybe it's not the concert one.
Oh. No, I think it is the concert one. I just asked you that earlier, and that's what you said. Oh. But that's real.
Well, I might have mixed it up with this picture is what I meant.
Yeah, no, you're so real.
At one point, they have their arms around each other.
But either way, they're very friendly. Like, I think... I think at a minimum they're touching in some way. If not, they're very friendly. They're just being little besties, and it's cute.
Yeah. Then his mom and him and his sister having birthday cards
for their mom.
A picture with him and Barbie Wire and their mother. The mom is wearing the skull necklace that Blitz now has. We talked about that. We know that's established. Blitz looks more like he dad than he mom. Yeah. Alex very eloquently wrote in the notes.
I just wrote this before we started recording. Okay, I'm tired.
Yeah. And sees the picture of his mom after seeing all these other pictures and after the 90s ad, and then immediately starts crying.
Yeah.
It's just, that's the last straw.
Yeah, he misses her so much, and then also, like, I think that's the last straw of him thinking it's his fault, because, like, he thinks that everything, like, the fire with Fizz and stuff is his fault, and, like, I feel like he definitely went back into those pictures to look at pictures with Fizz. Like, that was probably the intent, and then just, like, jump scare seeing that picture, like, really just...
Yeah.
That was the end of it. I also wish we saw his reaction to every picture, because there's some that he stays longer on. Like, I think he stays a little longer on the one of him and Stolas, so I wonder, like, what, if he's, like, cringing at that, or if he's, like, smiling at that, or, like, I think that would help a lot.
Yeah. Also, the fact that he has any pictures of himself on his phone is telling, considering that the physical pictures he scribbles out.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I can imagine that he only looks at the pictures when he's feeling, like, okay about himself or something, but that's not here.
I wonder if, like, because it wouldn't make sense for him to put the pictures of himself up on his wall in the first place.
Yeah.
If he was just going to scribble them out. So I'm wondering if, like, he put those pictures up and then, like, he had, like, a moment where he just, like, lost it and, like,
that's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
And so that's why the ones on his phone are, like, untouched. Like, this was, like, an instant of, like, breaking down.
Yeah, I think so, too. I've actually seen a really good comic about that exact thing.
Nice.
I'll show you. I think I have shown you, but I'll show you again.
Yeah.
Anyway. Yeah, and then that's all we have for the phone stuff, right?
Yeah.
And we've just got a bunch of random notes.
A few random notes, yeah.
Not related to the Whack Donalds, actually, is Wally Wackford's at Ozzy's, too.
Ozzy's. Are you sleeping with an imp?
Yeah, like, why is he everywhere?
Why are you everywhere?
If he's, like, a running joke, that's totally fine. It kind of gives BoJack vibes, honestly.
It really does, yeah. I want to know if there's going to be more there, or if he's just going to keep cropping up and no explanation whatsoever.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we have, that we learned that Octavia stays with Stella on weekends, or at the very least this weekend.
Yeah.
Octavia is with Stella, which goes into the idea of, like, Stella turning Octavia against Stolas. Like, what kind of mother-daughter bonding are they having? I can't imagine it's actually very affectionate.
Right.
I'd imagine it's more just Stella, like, spreading an agenda and being shitty and potentially abusive to Octavia herself.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and that's the last thing we had.
Yeah, that is the last thing we had. We got through it.
We got through it in under an hour and a half, which is shocking.
Yeah, I'm so surprised.
We really speedrun that. Go us.
Yeah, and obviously, like, the Instagram and everything, but is there anything specific we need to plug this episode?
I don't think so. So, like we said earlier, which we can now say pretty much for certain, the next episode will be about Queen Bee, and that's coming out on December 31st, and that will be the last episode of Season 1 of Helluva Boss.
And of us.
So we'll be taking a little break, because we're going to be on vacation from school anyway.
Yeah, doing internships.
Yeah, so when we come back to school for our spring semester, that's when we'll get back on track with regular uploads and diving into Season 2, and there might even be more content by then, but we'll get to that when we get to it.
We will have the newsletter out for January, though, yes?
Yes, January 1st, we're hoping to send out the first newsletter, so we'll figure that out at some point.
Yes.
Again, stay tuned on the Instagram at AA Discussions for updates on that, and on episodes, and literally anything else.
Yeah, and also if you have any feedback about the show, or theories, or anything you want to share with us, feel free to message us. We've had quite a few people message us, and we love hearing from people. So, yeah, don't hesitate, just feel free to message us.
Yeah. I think our Helluva Q&A, which we always fucking forget to do, but we're gonna do Barbie Wire, like...
Yeah, so, like, why do you... Well, I'll word this better in the actual Q&A, you'll see what it says. But, like, why do you think it is crossed out?
And how.
Yeah, that's actually...
And when.
Yeah.
and what, and
who, and why, and...
Yeah. just, like, tell us your thoughts on that whole situation, and feel free to, there are always a few ways that you can interact with the podcast on Spotify, whether it's, like, a Q&A or a poll or just, like, I don't know, rating, sharing.
Yeah, I was going to say, apparently you can rate We Learned recently.
Yeah, we have 4.5 stars. Thank you so much.
Yes. Share with any of your friends that like the show, anything.
I just realized we posted our Spotify Wrapped, because we got one of those. We made, like, an Instagram post, but we also put videos on our story. I just realized we should have made that a highlight.
We should.
Those are gone now.
They might be in the archive. We'll figure that out.
Okay. Yeah, we'll figure that out. But yeah, you can at the very least look at our post to see a little bit of our Spotify Wrapped. Thank you so much for a great first year. Yeah,
we really, really appreciate every one of you as listeners. Yeah. And a special appreciation to those, like, the ones that comment on every Q&A and everything. We see you, and we really appreciate you.
We really do. Yeah. We feel like we're on first name basis.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's crazy that we've been doing this podcast for less than a year.
Yeah.
And by the time we're starting season 2, it will have almost been a full year.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
It is crazy.
We started watching in March of last year. I don't know when the podcast started. We'll have to figure out our anniversary.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's it. That's all the stuff we usually say, I think.
Yeah.
Cool.
Cool. We will see you on the 31st. I hope everyone has a wonderful holiday season.
Yes. Thank you for listening.
Yes, I was going to say, like, specific holidays, but I don't know exactly when this is coming out. I think a lot of them will have gone by. But
have fun celebrating.
Yeah.
Whatever you celebrate. If you don't celebrate anything, then have a good day.
Yeah. Enjoy the snow. Yeah. Unless you're not from somewhere that snows.
Enjoy whatever you're doing wherever you are.
Yeah. Enjoy life a little bit, maybe. Just maybe.
Just maybe. And love yourself. Don't scribble yourself out of pictures. You are beautiful.
I thought you were going to be like, you're so sexy.
You're so fucking sexy, unless you're a minor, in which case I'm not.
In which case, you're cool.
In which case, you're very cool. And I'm sure you look wonderful in a not weird way.
Yeah.
And also, looks don't fucking matter. Beauty standards are garbage. This has turned into a whole other topic.
Yes.
We're going to end it here. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
See you in 2 weeks. Bye.
Bye.
Love you.